I typically use SketchUp for making a massing study for architecture, but it can also be used for framing plans or anything of that like. And so looking at our example here, here's a set of framing plans that are used with the techniques I'm about to show right now. So let's get into it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps with the YouTube algorithm quite a bit. And also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one. Okay, so what I have here is a group of components. Let me show you what I'm doing here to make a group. So essentially, over off on the left, when I go to create a rectangle, I can hit the arrow keys on my keyboard to change the plane and lock myself into drawing on the floor or from a side view. And so I'm going to go and just make a framing member real quick at 1.5 inches, comma 3.5 inches. So that's a 2x4 that's laying on edge. And then I'm going to use push-pull and just bring that back, and let's just type in 8 feet, so 8 apostrophe. So the first rule that I'm about to show that made my life so much better is highlighting that entire piece and then right-clicking and turning that into a group. Okay, then we can just go Control-C, Control-V to copy and paste that over. This one here, if I don't want it to be a group, I can right-click and say Explode. So let me show you what happens when I have two groups that are copied and pasted together. So I'm going to go and stack these right on top of each other just like this, or let's just say side by side. And then let's do the same thing, but with two pieces that aren't grouped. So copy and paste, and we'll just go and bring that from the corner right here. So if I go and try and move this piece again, it's going to be really hard to select it, these two that aren't grouped. And when I go to move it, inevitably it's going to be connected to the other piece somehow. And this is most people's experience with SketchUp. It becomes a mess. And so the best way to do this is if you have them grouped. Now when I go to move this, it's independent. It's completely its own solid, and it can be stacked and modified next to the other one. Now there's a question that a lot of people have, which is what's the difference between a group and a component? So this one's grouped. Now this one here was exploded. Let's go and turn that into a component, and we can just say OK. When this is a component, when we go and copy and paste this, when I go to update one component, the other one updates with it. So this becomes really fast and easy to make changes. Now let's say I have another one of these, copy and pasted, and let's say when I change this one, I don't want the other ones to update. What I can do here is click on this component, right click and say make unique, and then now this component becomes independent of the other ones. But if I go and copy and paste this unique component, it's no longer unique, but it is still tied together with the other one that is just like it. Okay, so that's grouping and components. So quite often I use groups over components because if you're like me, I end up having this copied somewhere and I forget that it's components, and then I modify it, and then things are changing that I don't want to have change. But there's always a time and place to use components. Okay, so I have my group object right here and right here. So I'm going to go and take this original group object, and now I want to show you a command that has been also a lifesaver. So here I'm going to go and click on the move command. I like doing the move command and then tapping control to make my copies. This way I can go and move my copy from the exact corner that I clicked on. So it makes it like stacking things or aligning things into position a lot easier. I can also go and use the tape measure tool, pull off the edge, and let's just say 2 feet over. And then I can go and do a move copy command. So I'm going to go click on that corner, tap control, and then snap up and over onto my line that I had drawn. If I want to get rid of all these guidelines, let's say my model's getting messy with guidelines, I can click on the glasses and click on delete all guides or hide the guides. Okay, so now when I have my model that's stacked, I'm going to show you one more thing with that move copy command that has been a lifesaver. So let's say I have this pattern of two boards that I want to alternate to keep going up. I don't know why I would build this way with framing, but let's say this is what I wanted. I'm going to go and click on the move command once again. I'm grabbing it from a bottom edge, and then in this case, let's actually grab it from right here. And let's say in this case, I'm going to do tap control, and I'm going to hit the up arrow to lock myself going in the vertical direction, and then I'm going to click. Now before I type anything else, I'm going to hit the star key on my keyboard, and then I'm going to type in 10. I want 10 copies total. And so now I've done that move and copy command 10 times over, which is amazing. Then I can go and take this, and turn it into its own group. And then I can go and copy and paste that group over to another spot. And so now pretty soon we can actually make something that is fairly complex without it being complicated. And so now we have an idea of how this is starting to come together. And we can do that, so fast using these simple commands here in SketchUp. And so that's how I go about making framing plans in SketchUp, because it's just so easy to go and take your 24-inch on center spacing and copy that through. It's easy using components and groupings to make sub-assemblies inside of assemblies, so you can have a group inside of a group inside of a group. And it just makes copying and pasting and moving around that much easier. You can do the same thing with copying and pasting a command like this. I'm going to go and turn this into its own group right now. I can go and do a rotate tool, and I can pick a center point and a start point, and I can tap Control and do the same thing. I can get 2 right here. I can then click and then hit the star key once again to multiply that command and say I want 5 of those copies. And let's see if that can work a little bit better. Let's do that again real quick. Move command, click. I have to tap Control, and then I think, yep, we're going to type in 90, enter, and then star, and then let's say 3, enter. There we go. So now we have that copied in a rotation 3 times by the degree measure. All right, once again, don't forget to save and subscribe if you like what you saw. Once again, these are just some simple techniques that completely changed my view and perspective on using SketchUp. Don't forget to save and subscribe.